Good evening, everyone. This is a 6 p.m. Central update on Hurricane Ian, as it is now a Category 2 hurricane barreling towards western Cuba. And then late tonight to tomorrow morning, it will be headed into the Gulf of Mexico, where it will continue rapid intensification into a major hurricane. We're going to get right into it here. Here is the satellite imagery that we have been monitoring all day pretty much today. And as you can see, we are seeing some very explosive convection on the southern center side, as you can see there, and that's helping this wrap around the eye wall, which is actually trying to form right now. You can kind of see a little bit of convection exploding right near the center. That is continuing to wrap around here, and we are going to see some dry air that's actually going to sneak into the low pressure system, and that's going to create the visible eye on the satellite imagery. Now, as it goes over Cuba, that might ruin the perfect circle a little bit as it goes over a lot of this Cuban land. But again, it is going to be headed to the Gulf of Mexico, where it can get that back together. Here's the latest forecast cone from the National Hurricane Center for the 5 p.m. Eastern update. So about 4 p.m. this was updated. This is now a Category 2 hurricane with 100-mile-per-hour winds, moving north-northwest at 13 miles per hour. We do have now hurricane warnings for the western coast of Florida. This is including Tampa and a little portion there of Punta Gorda and Fort Myers. You are in that hurricane warning. Hurricane watches now issued for more of the Big Bend of Florida. Also, tropical storm watches issued for the eastern coast of Florida and more of the Big Bend going into the Panhandle. Hurricane warnings and tropical storm warnings will exist for western Cuba, the western half of Cuba, until Ian does pass with those tropical storm force winds and hurricane force winds. It will become a major hurricane pretty much any hour now. As you can see, we are expecting a major hurricane landfall possible right near the Tampa area, which is pretty much a worst case scenario, as we will see a lot of those winds just kicking up into Tampa Bay. That's going to lead to excessive storm surge and maybe even devastating storm surge we could see from Ian. Updated rainfall potential for the next 5 days is getting more and more concerning as more and more updates come into the hurricane center here. And as you can see in that red, you could see possibly 10 to 15 inches of rainfall in those reddish colors. Those are mainly localized spots in coastal areas, but that could also spread inland due to Ian's kind of northeastern movement going up to the north. That's where we could see more possible storm surge over there into South Carolina, Charleston, Savannah, Georgia. Also may see storm surge on the eastern side of Ian later on after it passes through Florida. Flash flooding potential for the next 3 days. As you can see, this has increased again, and more of the Miami area here is now in a moderate risk for flash flooding, 40% chance. They did see a quite the amount of flash flooding from Alex. I think this might be more concerning flash flooding from those outer bands as it heads northward. Miami definitely will see some very excessive rainfall as it enters the Gulf of Mexico, and it is forecast to be become a major Category 4 hurricane and then make a weaker movement to a Category 3 hurricane right before landfall. So we're still expecting here. This is kind of that worst case scenario, like I'm saying. So everybody does need to be prepared in the path of this. Here is the forecast we have been waiting for. I did show the peak storm surge forecast this morning, and it was only showing for some of these areas in the western portion of Florida. Now we have more areas that are expecting storm surge here, starting off in the blue, up to 30 feet of storm surge in the blue here. That's including Indian Pass and also Aquila River. In the yellow, you will be expecting 2 to 4 feet of storm surge, and this is also including Key West, Port Sound Bridge, East Cape Sable. Also, the Altamaha Sound is included in that 2 to 4 feet of storm surge. Also, 3 to 5 feet of storm surge is possible in some of those yellow areas. Now we get to the serious portions here, where you could see upwards of 9 feet of storm surge in those orange areas. In the red, Tampa Bay is definitely going to be in that bullseye for this storm surge, up to 5 to 10 feet of storm surge. A very considerable, a very concerning amount of storm surge for Tampa Bay that may devastate coastal areas in Tampa Bay. So Again, if you're in that evacuation zone, do it now and get out of there before this hits. Now, you do have about 2 days before this hits. This is expected to make landfall at about Wednesday, late Wednesday into even Thursday. We could see that landfalling hurricane. This could also slow down a lot, which is very concerning for that storm surge and rainfall totals, and also just more damage. As this approaches Florida, you are just going to see more and more storm surge the longer it stays over that area. So evacuate while you can before it is definitely too late. Here's a GFS model. We haven't looked at these models in earlier video, which I am going to look at now. And as you can see, the GFS model makes it to that major hurricane status, so around a 950 millibar, gets down to a 946 millibar hurricane according to the GFS model, and this weakens a little bit. You see that pressure go up around 959 millibars. This is the concerning part. As you can see, it's 6 p.m. around 7 p.m. Wednesday, and this just stalls over Florida. This is about 1 a.m. of also Thursday now. And it just stalls, all right? And this is also going to be 6 a.m. It's going to be going on here for well over 14 hours that we see this stall over this portion of Florida, and it stays there. Again, this is 24 hours that this stalls over the portion of the Big Bend of Florida, which is, again, very, very concerning for those rainfall amounts of storm surge totals. This finally heads northward about time around 12 p.m. of Friday, a very, very slow storm that's just going to continue to barrel over the Big Bend of Florida and especially Tampa Bay. So I hope people are definitely prepared for this, for anything vital coming your way. As you can see, it pretty much just dies over the southeast after October 1st. And we can go ahead and look at the European model here, which pretty much has the same exact scenario. As you can see, it gets down to the exact same pretty much strength there as the GFS model. These models are definitely finally agreeing with the path and intensity. The European model, again, just does the same thing as the GFS model, and even stays possibly even a little longer, which is even more concerning. European model is one of the most accurate models out there for these hurricanes and tropical storms. So again, a very concerning situation could be unfolding later this week. We're going to have a live stream, possibly starting late tomorrow. It depends, but it will have live cams information about Hurricane Ian and the latest updates regarding Hurricane Ian as it barrels towards Florida. If you did enjoy, be sure to subscribe to the channel if you are new and turn on post notifications, like the video, share this with friends and families that do live here in Florida, to give them this vital information. But as always, I'll see you in the next one. Stay safe.